Have you ever wondered what's behind a luxury handbag made from python skin? What for many is just an exclusive accessory is actually the result of a complex and controversial process that begins in controlled breeding farms and ends in the world's most prestigious showcases. Today we'll show you how these snakes are raised, how their skin is processed, and how it is transformed into an item that symbolizes status and power, and also generates intense ethical debate. The value of these creations doesn't depend solely on the rarity and complexity of obtaining the leather. Behind each accessory lies a long journey, from regulated farms and the careful tanning process to the meticulous work of artisans who cut, sew and assemble each piece by hand. Tradition, the cultural heritage of European workshops with decades of experience, and the prestige of the brands decisively influence the final price. For many buyers, a python handbag or wallet is not perceived as an everyday item, but as a symbol of status and power. The natural durability and resilience of this exotic leather reinforce the idea that it is not just a fashion accessory, but a long-term investment, comparable to the purchase of luxury watches or exclusive jewelry. In this way, python skin is established as a material that transcends practical use to become an element that reflects identity, sophistication, and belonging to a select social circle. The global exotic leather industry is worth more than $23 billion annually, and the python occupies a prominent place in this market. The value chain multiplies the price at every stage. What a breeder sells for $100 can end up as a final product worth more than $50,000. This business not only benefits major brands, it also supports thousands of families in producing countries. In many regions of Southeast Asia, the income generated from fur sales represents the main source of livelihood for entire communities. Despite its multi-million-dollar revenue, this industry is not immune to controversy. Animal welfare organizations criticize the conditions in the farms, the slaughter methods, and the exploitation of exotic species. They wonder if, in a world with high-quality synthetic alternatives, it's still justifiable to sacrifice animals for fashion. Some brands have already launched vegan lines using innovative materials such as plant fibers, mushrooms, or cacti. However, much of the luxury market continues to prioritize authenticity. Advocates of regulated breeding argue that these farms reduce illegal trafficking of species and ensure traceability. But the central question remains, can luxury be reconciled with sustainability and ethics? Python skin is much more than a material. It's a symbol of status, exclusivity, and power. But it's also a reminder of the dilemmas facing the fashion industry in the 21st century. While some see each bag as a work of art that combines tradition and technique, others consider it an example of unnecessary exploitation. The ultimate answer lies with the consumer, who with each purchase determines whether this industry will continue to expand or must reinvent itself with alternative materials. Once removed, the skin is washed with cold water to remove any biological residue and then stored in refrigerated chambers. This step is crucial as it prevents decomposition and ensures the material reaches the next stage in optimal condition. The skins are graded based on multiple criteria: length, elasticity, coloration, and pattern symmetry. Even a small imperfection can significantly reduce their value, so inspection is exhaustive. Large plants process between 50 and 200 snakes per day, demonstrating the scale of this industry, which is largely unknown to the general public. Tanning is one of the most important stages in the python skin processing chain, as it transforms a fresh, perishable hide into a stable, flexible, and durable material. Without this treatment, the skin would quickly lose its natural properties, harden, crack, and eventually become unusable for the production of luxury goods. There are different methods for this process. One of the oldest and most environmentally friendly is vegetable tanning, which uses natural extracts obtained from the bark, leaves or roots of certain plants rich in tannins. This method, although slower and more laborious, has the advantage of more faithfully preserving the original colors and patterns of the scales, in addition to providing a distinctive texture that many consider more noble and authentic. In parallel, the industry also uses chemical or mineral tanning techniques, in which compounds such as chromium or special salts are applied to accelerate the process and allow large volumes of leather to be processed in less time. This method is more economical and widely used in large-scale factories, although it is often criticized for its lower environmental sustainability. The goal in both cases is the same: to stabilize the collagen fibers that make up the skin's internal structure, preventing them from breaking down over time and ensuring that the resulting material maintains its strength, elasticity, and softness even after years of use. After tanning, python skin acquires the characteristics that make it so prized in luxury fashion. It is supple, lightweight, with a natural sheen, and at the same time extremely resistant to wear. This balance between aesthetics and durability makes tanning an essential step for each piece to be ready for the subsequent processes of dyeing, finishing, and ultimately, its transformation into an exclusive accessory. The next step is dyeing, one of the most creative stages of the entire process. This is where the final aesthetic of the leather is defined. Color baths can last from a few hours to several days, depending on the desired effect. The pigments used can be natural or synthetic, and the color combinations allow for subtle tones to striking ranges such as deep red, electric blue, or metallic gold. After dyeing, the hides are dried under controlled conditions of humidity and temperature. Once dry, oils, waxes, and other products are applied to give them shine, elasticity, and durability. In some cases, engravings are even applied to enhance the appearance of the scales, creating an even more striking effect. At this point, python skin ceases to be a raw material and becomes an elite material, ready to be used by the world's most prestigious fashion houses. Not every manufacturer is skilled at working with python skin. Only a few workshops, mainly in Italy and France, possess the necessary knowledge and tools. Their artisans with decades of experience transform the skins into bags, wallets, belts, and shoes. The process begins with selection. Only the most uniform and durable hides are designated for limited edition items. Others with minor imperfections are used in smaller pieces. Leather cutting requires an extremely high level of precision. The pattern of the scales must align perfectly, and often a single bag requires joining several hides together so they appear as one. This assembly can take weeks to complete. Stitching, gluing, fitting hardware, and interior lining are all manual tasks that require patience and precision. Major international fashion houses, including Gucci, Prada, Louis Vuitton, and Hermes, have made python skin a signature feature of their most exclusive collections. This material is not widely used, but rather reserved for special editions and high-end pieces, which contributes to reinforcing its limited and coveted character. In boutiques in Europe, Asia, and the United States, a bag made with this type of leather can have a starting price between $5,000 and $10,000, while models designed as one-of-a-kind or custom pieces for high-net-worth clients easily exceed $100,000. Contrary to what many imagine, most python skins circulating in fashion do not come from the jungle, but from highly controlled farms. These farms function as living laboratories, where nothing is left to chance. The temperature is kept constant, the humidity is precisely adjusted, and the artificial lighting mimics the natural cycles of day and night. Keepers are responsible for feeding each snake selected prey, usually captive bred rodents. Feeding frequency can be 2 or 3 times a week, depending on the reptile's age and size. A well-nourished python not only grows healthily, but also develops a uniformly patterned skin, free of markings or irregularities. Color is crucial in the business. Specimens with golden hues, bright greens, or mottled symmetrical patterns fetch a much higher market value. From the outset, each animal is registered in systems that document its growth, health, and fur quality. During the warm seasons, the reproductive cycle begins. Females, after receiving stimulation that may include warm water baths or controlled handling, are capable of laying up to 100 eggs in a single clutch. These eggs are immediately transferred to incubators, where every variable is regulated: temperature, ventilation, and humidity. Incubation lasts several weeks, and during this period, embryo development is monitored through periodic inspections. Once the hatchlings are born, they are transferred to specially designed spaces, where their adaptation is monitored. In the first few weeks, caretakers carefully record their weight, length, and behavior. Hatchlings with irregularities, diseases, or unattractive patterns are discarded from the production process. Only the specimens with the greatest potential continue within the value chain. As pythons develop in breeding facilities, they undergo one of the most characteristic biological processes of their species: shedding their skin. This phenomenon, which occurs several times throughout their growth, is not only a physiological necessity, but also a key indicator of the animal's health and, in industrial terms, a moment that reveals the true quality of the skin that will later be processed. During each molt, the old skin is shed in a single piece or in fragments, revealing a renewed, shinier, and more elastic surface. For technicians and caretakers, this stage represents an opportunity for evaluation. The texture, thickness, color uniformity, and strength of the new coating are precisely analyzed and recorded on control sheets that allow individual monitoring of each specimen. A symmetrical scale pattern, free of spots or irregularities, considerably increases the future value of the hide. The environment in which snakes live is crucial for natural and even shedding. Therefore, breeders implement very specific conditions: clean and suitable substrates, surfaces that promote the friction necessary for shedding the skin, balanced humidity to prevent dryness or infection, and a stress-free environment to reduce abnormal behavior. Even artificial lighting is adjusted to simulate day-night cycles, which helps regulate the animal's metabolism. When the python reaches the required length and weight, the most critical stage arrives: slaughter. This procedure is crucial because a minor error can ruin a skin that could fetch enormous value on the market. In the most professional farms, methods are used to minimize the animal's suffering while preserving the integrity of the skin. Before proceeding, the snake is bathed in warm water and gently cleaned. This makes subsequent skinning easier. The process begins with an incision in the head and continues manually. It's an almost surgical process, performed by specialized technicians who have spent years perfecting their skills. The goal is to obtain a single, continuous piece without any visible cuts or damage. Nothing goes to waste. Python meat can be sold in exotic food markets, the organs are destined for the pharmaceutical industry, and the bones, in some cases, are used in decoration or crafts.